out. But it's Bam Burst. She's the leader of the series overall, and she's been
Bam Burst has been awesome and so far in this series.
Arrow just gets in there over the top of Fran Bamburst.
Good afternoon. We have a very exciting guest with us this afternoon, the amazing Fran Bamburst. Why is he so amazing, you ask? Well, you will soon discover. This is a lady that has won a magnificent race, but not just any race. Good afternoon, Fran. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Tell us more about your adventure. What did you do?
Yeah, well, I did win a race. I race a lot, actually, on Zwift, which is an esports platform. So I race indoors. I won a stage race made up of 8 races against, a host of amazing women. And some of them were professionals.
Okay, so like a small virtual Tour de France, something like that.
Yeah, but in that way it was a little bit different, that it was not built like a Tour de France. Tour de France has time trials, has flat stages, has mountain stages. And this race was built out of short, flat races. Only 8 short, flat races.
So what motivated you to participate? Are you a professional racer?
No, not at all. I'm an amateur, actually, and I'm a data analyst, a data engineer. So what I was most interested in was seeing if I, a 55-year-old amateur woman, could really compete with those professionals using data.
That sounds very ambitious. So you were racing against professional athletes who were just, using the same devices like you did to race. So your only competitive advantage was the data you were using. So
first of all, you have to gauge your own performance, your own possibilities, your own potential. What am I capable of? What is everybody capable of? Of course, the professionals know that as well. But I really went to all the depths to see what I could do and what I needed to improve and how I could improve them at the best way. So that was the second thing. I have started to use the data to check on all the possible small gains, little gains that I could use left and right to improve on my performance, which actually even meant getting another bike on the trainer. It's something that is never written about. Nobody talks about the bike who's on the trainer. People talk about the trainer itself. People talk about the pedals. People talk about how you can train. People talk about the racer, but they never talk about the bike on the trainer. So I thought, well, there is something that nobody has looked at in the data. That is one of the elements that we need to check. So we checked that as well. Then, of course, we had to use these things to see which were the best possible races that I could use. I could not have won the Tour de France, of course, but I could win some races. Actually, I never dreamt I could win them. I only thought I might be in the top 10 if I did my homework really good. So winning was like, it wasn't even a dream. It was way beyond a dream. But important here is that we did use the data to select the right race for me, for my potential, with the new bike, with the new elements. Actually, the suit I'm wearing is tested as well. I have a suit underneath this that has cooling inside it, so I can use that cooling, which is very important indoors, to even heighten my potential to get higher watts inside, which is quite difficult, especially in sprinting. Another element that we looked into was the physics of that specific world. A lot of the pro riders are used to racing in the outdoors, in the big outdoors. And when they sprint, for instance, they know they have to use their complete body to sprint. Well, that is something that does not translate to your trainer. Because if you move back and forth on your bike, your trainer doesn't know that. So you are using wattage that will not translate into wattage on the platform. You have to know the physics of that trainer, you have to know the physics of the platform as well. How does drafting work? How does sprinting work there? How does taking a corner work? All these elements we take into account, because all these elements are the small tipping points that will make sure that you can win or lose. And we calculated all these small little details to improve on our racing. For instance, drafting, which means somebody rides in front of you and you ride behind that person. You don't have to push as much wattage to stay in the wheel of someone else as you would if you would be in the front, which is kind of obvious. But did you know you could win up to 34% of that wattage, which means that instead of doing 4 watts per kilo, you only had to do like 2.6 watts per kilo, which is amazing. If you just think about it, that means that you're actually relaxing while the person in front of you is sweating. And that means that when she's doing all those watts in front, won't have those watts at the end when we need to sprint.
All right.
So all these elements we took into account, and we checked what the opposition we were up against and how they were used to race, how their tactics were, but also what their heart rates were.
You could see during the race what your competition, how they're feeling. You could see their data as well.
Yes, I can. Yes, and yes, that was so impressive to see and so impressive to watch. But you have to know, of course, before what their maximum heart rate is, and you can find all these data. All this data is there. You just can you can look it up. See, oh well, Justina has a maximum heart rate of 184, and means that she's at the threshold when she's at 170. So if I can push her to do 170, like 5 kilometers before the finish, well, that means she will be exhausted by the time we get to sprint. So these are the elements that I'm starting to watch at. Then when we are in the race, I see what are the heart rates of everybody, who's already down, who is still feeling fresh, who do I have to watch out for, which wheel do I have to pick. And all these elements you use during the race itself. And after each of these races, again, we used the data to analyze how I did, where did I make mistakes, how could I do it better next time. And we also constantly hoped that the competition would not do the same thing, because if they would have, I would not have won, because I made so much mistakes and so many mistakes. They could have easily taken me down on so many occasions, but they didn't, because I think they did not use the tipping points.
No, so they were using, they were doing old school sports where you were doing the data science of esports. So very impressive. Using data, so even in selection of races, selection of materials, selection of where to go, who to cycle from, looking at your competitors' data, and then evaluating afterwards and preparing, upwards. It's quite an exercise. Very impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what comes next? Are you going to, start building up to the next tour, or where do you see the future of data science in esports?
First of all, I hope we can help others using these insights. We can use them to help other races win against their competition. That would be one thing to use it for. But with my team that I am in, we will partake now in the new Zwift League and the Premier Division. And of course, we do hope that we can stay in there. We are not dreaming of, maybe we are, of winning. But actually, we are using the data now already to see what the best way would be to do a team time trial, and to see who needs to come after who, and what is everybody's power, and so on. So yeah, data analysis is the way to go.
It's the new era of sports. Well, and I'm very happy. We had to see it from up close with you, with your first experiment. I'm very curious to see. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
very
it would,
curious to
it would,
see what
it
will
would be
be
great to
the
have
next step.
the data arena here.
Yeah. So so the conclusion is, get into data. If you want to be successful, if you want to increase your performance, use the tipping points, to have that competitive advantage over your competition. Yeah, I'm sure the science will further develop. So I'll
It
be
will.
very happy to have a next interview with you to see what your new learnings are in the future.
Okay, great. Let's
So,
make that appointment.
all right. Well, thank you for your time. It was great having you here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon again. Bye bye.